Hey guys, I'm Aaron with Aleeknives. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to share back with you tips and tricks that you guys taught me in the last year. That's right, you guys have taught me quite a bit in the past year of making videos here on YouTube. You've shared down in the comment section and I always read those and take note, and you guys have helped me become a better knife maker, so I've decided to share back with the community and give you 5 of my favorite tips and tricks that you, the viewer, taught me this year. We're going to start off with tip number 5. This one has to do with hand sanding. When I started the year out, I was just using a block of wood and I'd wrap my sandpaper around it like this and I'd go to town. And it worked. It worked great. My knives were coming out awesome. But I had a viewer suggest that I use something metal to back my paper with, and they suggested a file. So I took a file and I doled the teeth on it. I slightly radiused the edges, and now I wrap my paper around this file and a hand sand. What a difference. It's amazing the difference in using this file than a piece of wood. I get crisper lines, I can get into tighter areas, and it's a much finer finish when I use this file. Now of course, I took it a step farther and I've added golf balls on the end of my file so that I can firmly grasp it in my hand when I'm sanding my knives out like that, and it reduces fatigue in my hands. Awesome, super easy to do. Your file already has a spur on one side, so just create a spur on the other side, slap on some golf balls, and there you go. Super awesome. I've got a free tip for you here. I'm gonna bring you over and show it to you. All right, here's a freebie. Check this out. Right now, if you just clamp down on the end of your tang, on a hidden tang knife, you taper these tangs. So if you clamp down here, there's flex in the knife. See how it flexes? Here's how you can get around that. Super easy. This is just a ridiculously easy tip. All you have to do is put a small piece of leather at the end of your tang and then clamp down right in front of that. Now, there's no play in your knife at all. It's perfectly flat because you've bent that tang down, you've made up for that angle that you ground in your tang, and now your knife lays perfectly on your sled and you can sand it out with no flex. We're going to move on to tip number 4. When you're cutting thin pieces of sandpaper to come in here and radius these things, I'm going to show you what happens. You come in here and you're sanding away and pop. Oh man. You come in and pop. Oh, man. Oh, super bummer. Maybe just try that again. And your sandpaper just won't do it. And here's how you get around that. You take your sandpaper just like this. Take regular old duct tape. I love this trick. This is an amazing trick. You lay your duct tape right on the back side of your paper, and then you cut your strips. This works really amazing because you're not going to break the duct tape. You just cut your strips out. You can cut that sandpaper as thin as you want it. Let me show you how well it works. Sandpaper with duct tape on the back. Now I can come in here, check that out. It will still break if you really torque on it, but this works amazingly well. You can get a lot more life out of your sandpaper if you just add a little bit of duct tape to the back side of it. Tip number 3. This one has to deal with heat treating. If you're going to use a forge to do heat treating on simple carbon steels, I had a viewer reach out to me and make this suggestion. It makes a huge difference. Rather than just using your forge as is with the flame swirling around your blade, take a simple tube like this, just a hollow tube of steel, and slide it in your forge. That keeps the flame, the direct flame, off of your knife blank, and you don't get hot spots. This tube heats more evenly and it keeps less oxygen flow off of the blade. This is a magnificent thing to do. It works great. Strongly suggest this one. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. This next year is going to be pretty amazing and I've got a ton of new content coming out. This is tip number 2. This tip is primarily aimed at the newer knife maker. I made this mistake myself. I'm going to show you the mistake, and then I'm going to show you the solution, which is actually pretty easy. Okay, so here I am at my toolbox, and as you start making knives, you're going to start having an excess of materials that you bring in. You start throwing materials in a drawer, and you have these cutoffs. And you pick them up, and you're like, oh shoot, what was that? I started playing with 1084, and then I started using 1095, and maybe I got a little 304 stainless. I don't know what that is. Man, I really wish I would have wrote on that. That's what I'm saying. Every time you cut off a piece of steel, write its designation on the steel so that you know when you pick it up that that's a piece of 1084. That right there is a piece of 1084. This is a piece of 304. If you don't write on your stock, you will eventually end up with a big pile of steel and you don't know how to heat treat it. Okay? I know if you're just starting out, you might not think that you'll end up with the drawer of all these cutoffs, but you will, I promise. Tip number 1, by far, this is the most important tip on the video. This one comes right here from my heart. This did not come from a viewer. This is directed to my viewers. I've been approached many times over the last year about making custom orders, make this for this person, make that for that person, and I always say no, and there's a reason. I believe that you should make what you're inspired to make. What you're truly inspired to make. It's a craft. This is an art form. So when I step out to my shop, I only want to make what I truly want to make. And I'll tell you why. If you go out and start a project with inspiration to do something, your end product will show. It'll shine. And those knives that you make with that type of inspiration, they'll sell like firecrackers. If you get set where you want to make 5 or 10 knives, make runs of knives because all you have in your mind is make a dollar, it will show in your knives, I promise you. When I set out to my shop and I have something in my mind and I want to get it right and I put everything I have into making that knife and making it the way that I see it in my mind, they always sell immediately. So I promise you, you'll be happier in the long run. Your mind will be more entertained and you won't get stuck in a humdrum, process of slapping together knives. Of course, there is a place for that out there, but I think most of you are hobbyists just like me. You're doing it for the artistic expression in knife making and to have something cool, an heirloom knife or something to hand down to your kids. That would be my advice to you. If you're just getting into knife making, it's incredibly hard to be a full-time knife maker. Just do some research and check out how hard it is to be a full-time knife maker. I'm a hobby guy. I have a full-time day job, I have a family, and I do this in the evening, and I share my experiences with you guys on YouTube, which has been amazing. I had no idea how great of a community there was out there of people like you that support me and my hobby here that I do, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Please give me a thumbs up on my videos, subscribe to my channel, and if you like this, I'll put a link right here to go and watch some knife build videos. Thanks, guys.